You roll for initiative. Your character profile is in front of you, pencil in hand, ready to take any needed notes or record any damage taken. But where does the battle take place? That question is actually more complicated than it seems. For each table, the answer might be different, and it may change depending on who's running the game. Some may say theater of the mind. For those who don't know, that means the entire battle takes place in your imagination. So location and distance is described in more of an estimate than an exact position. Many people prefer this method as it matches the rest of the game, which is just in your imagination and described to you. This would be easy for Marvel Multiverse RPG, as imagining something like Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin would be easy since most people have seen it many times, and then putting your own character wouldn't be all that hard. An advantage Theater of the Mind would have over battle mats is the size. Typically, superhero fights can span an entire city depending on the characters. Like in the previous example, both Spider-Man and Green Goblin are very mobile, so the battle could be very, very wide. Getting a battle mat that big may be hard and take up a lot of space, and you don't want to have to keep moving to different mats depending on where you are in the battle, especially if you have a team fighting multiple villains that could be all over the place. Characters can get a lot of movement in the game, so they can easily move from one side of the mat to the other. Of course, another major factor to consider is cost. Theater of the Mind is free, while getting battle mats and miniatures can get expensive, depending on how many you get and if you get battle mats you draw on or pre-made maps. So now you have to keep getting new ones for different situations. It just depends on how much money you want or can spend on the hobby beyond the books. Ideally, this would be something the group talks about at session 0 and decides what everyone is comfortable with, but it really depends on the group. Other groups may prefer battle mats, which gives more precise distance and positioning. They make keeping track of battle easier. Of course, as I said before, cost is a thing to think about, but if you're willing and able to spend the money, then there's no problem. It can bring another layer of fun to the game and help bring it to life. As far as miniatures are concerned, I have these from a different game called Marvel United. Focus on them. Got a little Hulk, got a little Captain America, has Ant-Man. I really like the Ant-Man one because he's on a coin. If I can even show it. He's on top of a coin. Has Captain Marvel and Venom, and in this they have Venom as a good guy. And then the villain ones are all red. You got Ultron, Taskmaster, and Red Skull. I've never played the game. I just got it for the miniatures. But really, anything can work as long as you establish ahead of time what represents what. Supposedly, they're going to be coming out with official miniatures, but we'll see what they look like and how expensive they are when that time comes. You could even use Legos, or I got these from the dollar store. They're just like little Lego knockoff guys. Of course, I think they're all mostly fantasy themed. I got a couple pirate ones when I was doing the One Piece campaign, so that way they could have little pirate people to use in the thing. They're just at the dollar store. They're just really, you can get a pack of, I think it's like 4 or 5 of them for $1. You're still using your imagination, but you have a good representation of position and distance. The problem comes when, and I'll keep using the same example to make things easy, when you have Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin. They're not going to stay on the ground. They're going to be all over the place. Basically, I'm saying keeping track of height on a flat battle mat is hard, unless you have those stands that keep track of it for you. Then there's the distance with angles, and if you have multiple heroes flying around and they're all fighting different villains, and it can get complicated. Doable, but complicated. Then there's the question of battle mats you can draw on or pre-made maps. Pre-made maps look better and could be inspiration for adventures or combat scenarios, but then you have to keep getting new ones to be able to do different things. I have these big battle mats, and like there's one that's an ocean, one that has boats on it. That one was I was really looking forward to using that one on the One Piece campaign. And then one that's like a grass scenery, and they're all gridded. They're all gridded, so they have the squares. So your minis would go there, and each square equals 5 feet. So in Marvel Multiverse RPG, it'd be each square would equal one thing of movement, of run speed. And you can draw on those, so you can change, what's on it and stuff. Of course, I got them for D&D, so they're more fantasy themed than superheroes fighting in a city themed. But like I showed, there's some that's blank and some that, and every once in a while, hey, your hero might be fighting over the ocean or something, or on the beach. I don't know. It basically comes down to preference and how much you're willing to spend. Now, there is a third option, VTTs, which stands for Virtual Tabletop, which is things like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds. It's where you play the game on the computer. I know Marvel Multiverse RPG is on Roll20, but I'm not sure about Fantasy Grounds. The main advantage of this type of play is you can play with your friends from anywhere or with strangers. There's a lot of pre-made maps on there, and some even have dynamic lighting, which is where the player can only see things on the map that the character would be able to see. Of course, as with others, cost is a factor. Not all VTTs are free, and you still have to pay for the maps, and you have to buy the Marvel Multiverse RPG rulebook in the game, or on the site, in order to use it in the game. And of course, there's always options like just doing it over Skype with your friends and using theater of the mind for combat. So really, there are a lot of options, and which one is best really depends on your group and what everyone is comfortable with, and how much money you want to spend or can spend. I personally have only ever played in person and prefer using battle nets. If you want to see a bit of my campaign setup and an example of Session 0, click here.